Yeah, for the people to see. Honestly, people, they're going to want you to jump on board and promote their brand. They're going to want you to dress up their building. And they're going to promise you this, promise you that, you know. And then if you look at it, though, it's pittance. You know, you're not doing nothing for yourself. You're doing stuff for other people all the time. You know, even us who work for other people, we're building them up. Now, mind you, you can use it as a catalyst to eventually do something for yourself. So yeah, you know, you work for a company, that's fantastic. You got a good 9 to 5, as they say, fantastic. Because you know what? At least you're earning your stuff honestly. You can go home, look in the mirror, and not have to look over your shoulder. You can go home and look in the mirror, not have to look over your shoulder. You can go and look in the mirror and not have to look over the shoulder. And that's a beautiful thing. You know, that's a very beautiful thing to have, to do. And you know, the company lays down the infrastructure, they make the way, they get their investors, however they did it, whether it's legitimate or not legitimate, they built what they had to build, and then they're like, hey, we'll hire you on, you get paid this much, maybe a possibility for more, blah, 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 get these benefits, whatever, you know, and it works. Just remember though, there's probably never going to be a retirement, because there's always a way out. We learned that back in the day. If you remember Enron, a lot of people worked for this company called Enron. I think it was like an energy company, and I think it was based out of Texas. Yeah. And they went under somehow, some way. All the CEOs bounced and took these big severance checks. Whatever the checks were called, they took them. And the employees were left with no pension, no nothing. So you could work, and if the company don't want to pay your pension, they can find a way to let you go a year before you retire, 6 months before you retire. At the end of the day, it's trust. And that's what it comes down to. And let's say the company folds. Hey, they can be like, look, we wanted to pay your pension, but, you know, we went bankrupt. You know, you should have took less pay. Blah, blah, blah. That's what they do. Hey, we got to stay afloat, take less pay. Whatever the reason is, legitimately or not, the fact of it is, working for somebody else, you have to deal with that. I'm saying that's fine. We all work. A lot of us work for somebody else. Even if you have a successful YouTube channel, it's predicated on YouTube paying you. You know what I mean? It's still predicated, they still control your pay. So, in that, what I'm saying is, what I've heard, and it makes a lot of sense, have more than one egg in a basket. Have a couple different ways of earning money. But yeah, working a 9 to 5 is fantastic. It keeps you in the. I work a 9 to 5, and it keeps you in the loop. It keeps you humble, and then you can learn, study. But a lot of people will start. You have a friend, maybe start a company, or start whatever, and you help them out. You might work for free. We learned a valuable lesson, man. There's no thing as sweat equity. I had a friend that was working for a company, and they was working hard, and he didn't have no contracts. He just was helping, and he was helping stock the merchandise, going to events, using his time, money, and gas resources. Once in a while, he'll get maybe reimbursed for his gas. Once in a while, they'll go to Vegas, and the guy, his buddy, would pay for everything. But it wasn't putting money in his pocket. And he's a family man. He's not really interested in going to Vegas and doing that. He was like, look, I need the money. So, come find out, a few other guys had signed contracts with guaranteed money. He was like, well, where's mine? I did all this work for you. And the guy's like, there's no such thing as sweat equity. Valuable lesson. I had a valuable lesson myself. I'll never forget this. Helping out this gospel rapper Christian rapper years ago. We performed at the fair. He needed somebody to do backup. Me, I'm coming from hip-hop in general, and then I changed my life. But I knew, well, I kept hitting him up, we gotta rehearse. He didn't even want to rehearse. I'm like, look, we gotta rehearse. When's the rehearsal? Here's my schedule, I'm down to do it. Let me know, I'll work things around, because I want to put on a good show. Get the message out in proper form. But he never rehearsed. So we do the show, and I'm backing him up because I knew his songs. I'm always a good artist, but I'm also a good backup man. I'm always good going. This all goes back to, I'm always good at supporting people. I'm always good being in that, I guess you could say, wingman, but I'm also a good leader. But I'm also good to say, look, I'll help you out. I'll put others before myself. You know, that is a Christian value. So I did that. He's the one that agreed to pay me. I would have done it for free, but he agreed to pay me, being that I have a strong financial background. If you agree to something, stick with it. And if I owe you, I'll make sure I pay you. I'm like a reverse collector. I'll hunt you down and pay you. Hey, I owe you this money. I want to make sure I give it to you. I want to make sure I give it to you and make sure you know you have it in your hand. So I'm like a reverse collector. I'm not collecting to collect. I'm hunting you down to pay you. Well, this guy was the opposite. So I didn't say nothing. We're grown men. We did the show. Everything was good. Blah, blah, blah. Week go by, 2 weeks go by, 3 weeks, a month go by. I forgot how I got him on the phone. I think he called me. I don't know why. I don't know how the communication. But we're talking on the phone. I'm like, hey, by the way, it's been about a month. I haven't, got that money, man, for the show. He's like, oh man, you should have said something. I don't have it. I'm like, well, you agreed to pay me. I didn't know I had to hunt you down. Man, a closed mouth don't get fed. You should have said something. A closed mouth don't get fed. Valuable lesson. And that is a valuable lesson. To lose whatever, I don't know if it was 50, $100, whatever you agreed to pay me. It was very small. It was pittance, but a very valuable lesson. A closed mouth don't get fed. Another valuable lesson. There's no such thing as sweat equity. At my expense, I learned that lesson. At my brother's expense, he learned his lesson, which I learned it. And he learned mine because I shared him my story. Because I was like, I'm a brother in arms. I feel your pain, brother. Let me show you what I went through. And this lesson you're going to learn forever. Here's one I learned forever. Now we're going to learn each other's lesson. Dressing up somebody's building is exactly what it is. You're dressing up their building. I had another buddy, man, had an entertainment company. Loved him, man. But there was no way I was getting paid, dude. I remember, man, we had a nice hip-hop clothing company. We should have jumped on it more years ago. And he had me as a salesman. I was selling shirts left and right, making great commission. It was a fair commission. It might have been a 60-40 or 70-30 split on the shirt. It was great, but I was selling them like hotcakes. I mean, we took 2 trash cans. I laid down some lids. I was selling it at these hip-hop events back in the day. I was busting it. After I'm making all this money, he says, oh, my investor said, are paying too much out. We got to cut you commission. And I was young at the time. I was like, nah, I'm not going to work for less. You can't reward me by cutting my pay. So I was like, I ain't going to sell no more than for you. Forget it. So, because I felt insulted, like, how you going to reward me by telling me you're going to pay me less? Like, I'm selling all your shirts. I'm moving the product. And then this is how you repay me? By you want to cut my commissions by like $2 or $3 per shirt? No, man. So the lessons is, man, dressing up somebody else's building. I've heard people say that, but then I heard turn around, then they want you to dress up their building. But then they gave you the speech about dressing up somebody else's building, how they're tired of doing it. But then they want to put you on to dress up their building. It's an endless cycle. You got to work with people. At the end of the day, we all can't be out for ourselves. We all can't be out for gusto or dolo. We have to help other people, work, but you just got to know who you're dealing with. And I'm seeing in my life, man, if you have a bad feeling, stop having faith in these people, man. People can say, oh, have faith in God and work with this. But no, have faith in God, but don't have faith in that person. Because they'll screw you. You can sit down and talk with God in your prayer closet and say, look, I need help. I need direction. I want to do this. And, you know, it's really funny. A lot of people get funny when I talk about money. I'm not. I'll talk about money with no emotion. What it is, here's the facts, here's the numbers, because numbers have no emotion. It's the truth. Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't. Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't. Men lie. Women lie. Numbers don't. That is such a good quote. And that goes for everybody. People can argue till they're blue in the face. But, however, the numbers don't lie. People can put their emotion and feelings into something, but the result is still the same. The numbers don't lie. So keep that in mind. Dressing up somebody else's building, investing in somebody else's company, you're at their whims, you're at their dictates. You're always going to be limited in how much you pay. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying just be careful who you do business with. Be careful of the gifts you get, what's attached to them. There's a scripture that talks about that. Be careful what you partake in. Be careful what you eat. Be careful what you accept. There's always something attached to it. Just keep that in mind. Use your wisdom. Look for a godly wisdom with a godly zeal. Earthly wisdom is great, but godly wisdom is better, and a godly zeal so you don't blow it like, Solomon did. Learn these lessons. It's important you learn these lessons. That's about it for the people to see. Dressing up somebody else's building. Make sure you understand what you're getting yourself into. And if the person cannot be straight up with you, that's a red flag. You got to figure out, why are they not being straight with me? Usually when people are not straight, it's because they're lying. Because they're concealing, they're cloaking something they don't want you to know. But they want you to do all this output, and they want to know everything you're doing, but they want to limit your information. How bold is that? How ballsy, how demeaning is that? Where they're not trying to show you their hand, but they want to see your hand for the people to see.